But it's an interesting story you just say, because this last weekend I was at a conference of state legislators, and I now sit on one of the committees, and we were voting on suggested model legislation for states across the United States. And different states had introduced what they thought was such a good piece of legislation, they thought other states should consider it. So there was this one piece of legislation that was truly a woman's issue. And they wanted us to include it, and I raised my hand and I says, well, you know, I have some real concerns about this, and I would rather defer it and have more discussion, ask staff to go back, kind of check around for the meaning of it, and I was outvoted. But I want you to know, because I notice these things and I know you do, there was 30 people on that committee and only 4 women.
Oh dear.
And they were voting on a woman's issue.
No.
And so,
do you ever look at any group that's, I do now, I'm very sensitive when I look at groups in power, and whether it's in government, whether it's in, certainly in these corporate fiascos, and you see the people that are pictured, and with maybe 1 or maybe 2 exceptions, they're all male. And I keep wondering if we had more parity in, say, the automotive industry, and we had more women making decisions, both financial decisions as well as decisions of what cars are going to sell to the public, because 51% of us are women, and we weigh in on what car we're going to get, sometimes without any consultation with spouse or male family members or anything. And if we had more women in there, would we be in the mess we're in now? And maybe I'm just biased, but I think we would not, because I think that there are many times that we have a better perspective, a broader perspective. We're not in there to just go for the jugular and try to get the most money off the table, but more to provide a product that's going to be welcomed by all people in our society.
Well, it's interesting that the story you just said, because I'm a believer that you need both the male and the female, because males tend to grab onto a goal and really run with it, where you just described how a woman will look at a real broad brush of the impact it has across, you know, more like if you're a family member, you're thinking about the children, the parent, the mother. It's like we're multiples. I mean, we think about multitasking, and we think about the broad impact it has on a huge, broad span of people. Where I notice with my male colleagues, they really get their teeth into something and they really grab it and they really go for it. And I think you need both. And that is why I want both. You know, that's why I want more women in a lot of these decision making, because they do give a different perspective. And like you just said, 50% of the people driving automobiles is probably women. 50% of the workforce is definitely women. So I mean, why wouldn't you want both perspectives? Because that, if you're just looking for market share, if you're just selling an idea or promoting something, why wouldn't you want 50% of the women in your decision making? Because that is who you're appealing to or you're representing. I mean, I really believe that. And you know, even in our house, we've got 18 out of 51 members.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. It'd be nice to have more. So
very definitely. In fact, Washington State, I understood at one point they had like over 33% were women in their legislature, and they found that there was a definite change of the type of legislation that was being passed, and it was more, I guess, broader and more comprehensive, helping the entire community, rather than just being, I want money for that project to build that bridge or to do whatever.
Right.